Ken Fisher here with another Photoshop creative project. In this video I'm going to show you how to put an image inside of text using what's called a clipping mask. Okay, so here we have a picture. So what we need now is some text. But not just any text. What we need is this text to be quite thick and chunky. So we're really looking for the Branston of text fonts. And the one I want is called Impact. So that's what we're going to use. So I'm just going to look down here and you can see I've already got it selected from earlier. We've got Impact Regular. I'll leave it at 72 points and I'll just click and I'll type Zoom. Just reposition it and then press return to accept that. Now this is on a separate layer, as you can see here. So if I get my move tool, I can move this around and place it anywhere I want on the image. But there's more. What we can do is if we use transform, so I'm going to hold down the control key and press T, control and T, we can actually rotate around that center point and we can actually stretch it in different directions. So let's have a go at that. Let's stretch it. I want it quite a bit bigger. We'll just put it off a little bit and then we'll stretch it that way. And what I'm trying to do is, so you can still see the zoom, I'm trying to get the head that's going to appear in this O here. And that looks about right. So I'm going to double click to accept that. So okay, now we've got some nice big text that covers the picture up. Might be a bit counterproductive, but no, we can sort it. We can change things. Now that's where the clipping mask comes in. So now if we go to the layers panel, we need to drag the text layer underneath the background. So I'm going to try that. And I'll find after a few times it won't let me do it, and that's because by default the bottom layer, the background layer, has a padlock on, and this means it's always going to be the bottom layer, so you can't put anything underneath it. What we need to do is to get rid of that padlock. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on it and drag it over the bin and let it go, and we've now got a layer called layer 0. You can call this anything. You can rename it background again if you wanted, just so long as it's not got the padlock on. And now we can get this zoom layer, the text layer, and drag it underneath. Now that's good, but now because the text's underneath we can't see it. Now this is where the clipping mask comes into its own. So what we're going to do, I'm going to hold the Alt key down on the keyboard and I'm going to get my mouse and just hover over this join between them here, and you'll see this little symbol appear, and that's the symbol for the clipping mask. And when I click the left mouse button, you'll see, hey presto, now the image only appears where there is text on this layer below, and that's what clipping masks are all about. Everywhere else is masked away except the area where the text is. So in effect we're using the text as a little bit of a mask. Now this looks a bit plain, so I'm going to try and tart it up a bit with some effects. So I'm going to go down to the FX panel. I'm going to open up my blending options, and the first one, I'll just move that out the way. Let's give it a bit of a drop shadow, just a little bit, just to separate it a little bit. Oh, and while we're here, let's give it a bevel and emboss as well. Make that look a little bit better. There we, oh yeah, like that. That's better. And okay. Okay, so now that looks cool. I've got text that's got a little bit of a 3D look to it. It's got the image showing through, but I've got a big area where there's nothing happening. Now I could put a colour in there, I could put a gradient in there, but what I'm going to do is try and put an image in there. So we've already got an image up here, so I'm going to copy this image again. So I'll drag that down to the copy image, and then I'll drag that down to the bottom. So we've now got the image behind as well as the image showing through the text, which is okay. But I think we can be a little bit more creative. So what I'm going to try and do is blur this back image a little bit. And we're going to do that. I'm going to go to the filter menu. And we're going to go to blur. And we'll try a radial blur. Now here's the radial blur dialog box. We've got two different types. We've got spin and zoom. We're going to go for the zoom. We'll go for an amount. It's a little bit stick your finger in the air and see how it goes here, but we'll start off at about 60. And then what we can do is we can move where we want the centre of the blur to come. Now I know this is square and this isn't square, so it's not ideal, but we'll just try and estimate roughly where I think his head is. And probably we'll go for about there. And then we'll click OK. And there we are. Now we've got the text with a nice clear image in, and at the back a blurry, zoomy sort of effect running diagonally across the page. Well, that's it. I hope you found this useful. How to add text to an image using a clipping mask.